Well, day 3 of the Derek Chauvin trial begins in about 3 hours, following another day of highly emotional testimony. The teenager who recorded the world-famous video of George Floyd's arrest took the stand yesterday. Because she was a minor at the time, she was not shown on video. Here's what she told the jury.
When I look at George Floyd, I look at my dad, I look at my brothers, because they are all Black. I stayed up apologizing to George Floyd for not doing more.
So Rebecca Roiphe joins me now with some analysis from day 2. Rebecca is a CBS News legal contributor and a professor at New York Law School. Thanks a lot for joining us, Rebecca. There were certainly some tears in the courtroom yesterday. It's tough, even though we couldn't see the minors. It was tough listening to them. What's the prosecution's strategy in beginning with these eyewitnesses, and what impact could it have on the jury?
So, Anne-Marie, I think that the strategy that the prosecution is really focusing on is to keep people's attention on those 9.5 minutes when Derek Chauvin's knee was on George Floyd's neck. And, you know, we all remember over the summer, the video of those minutes is what galvanized the country and led to those mass protests. So having this live testimony, especially these young witnesses who voice their helplessness as they watched George Floyd die, is extremely effective because it voices many of our feeling of helplessness watching, you know, these videos and the larger social context and social problems that our country has with regard to race, policing, criminal justice. And so it has brought to life, the testimony has brought to life the emotions that video triggered over the summer. So I think it's a very strong beginning for the prosecution.
For the second straight day, we heard from first responders who witnessed the incident as well. There was a first responder who's an off-duty firefighter. I want to play some of what she said.
That individual on the ground under the officers, could you tell if he was moving at all?
He was not moving. His face was, the first thing that concerned me is his face was like smushed into the ground.
You know, at that point, are you acting a little bit as Genevieve Hansen, EMT?
I identified myself right away because I noticed that he needed medical attention. It didn't take me long to realize that he had an altered level of consciousness, and in our training, that is when the first sign that somebody needs medical attention. So my attention moved from Mr. Floyd to how can I gain access to this patient and give him medical attention or direct the officers. And I didn't pay much attention to George Floyd after that.
So I've heard some analysts say that this trial may turn out to be sort of a battle of the experts because, you know, everyone watching the video is going to be horrified by it. But then experts are going to sort of chime in and determine if what we're seeing is actually what we think we're seeing. And so I wonder, you know, what's part of the strategy when it comes to getting these first responders to testify? We also heard from a 911 operator. Is it about sort of bringing in kind of experts? They're witnesses, but they're also experts to say, yeah, what you saw in the video, it's as bad as you thought. Even we thought so, and we know what we're talking about.
Right, exactly. I mean, she's not testifying officially as an expert witness. She's testifying as a fact witness, but certainly her expertise and her experience makes her extremely persuasive because she's testifying to seeing something. And in her experience, she's saying he needed medical attention, which draws attention to, you know, again, what we saw in the video, which was this particularly cold expression on Derek Chauvin's face. So why was he unwilling to respond to what what she saw and she knew in her expert opinion, and she brought to his attention in her expert opinion, was a situation that required medical attention right away. And so, I think it's effective for that way and for that reason. And then for a second reason as well, I think that the dispatcher who testified that she called her supervisor when she saw the video, along with this testimony, is also effective because I think we have a sense that people in the same line of work have a certain kind of solidarity. They understand the difficulty of a line of work, and therefore they are likely to stick together. So when they don't, when they turn on somebody, I think it has particular credibility because it's one of them. So it's one of them turning on another one of them. So for those two reasons, I think this particular testimony was also extremely effective for the prosecution.
Yeah, that's a great point. What do you make of the defense's cross-examination strategy so far? What kind of witnesses do you expect them to be bringing to the stand?
So the defense, just as the prosecution wants to focus on those 9.5 minutes, the defense wants to pull the lens out and look at a broader picture. So what they want to do is to bring our attention to what happened before and facts that not only the public didn't know, but that these observers didn't know was going on. So that, in a way, to tell a different story, that, that here was somebody who was struggling, who was resisting arrest, who was extremely high. And that story is one that they're struggling to get out at this point. But I think in the future, you're going to see it. You're going to see different video coverage, and you're going to see a different analysis of what's going on. And the story that they're going to want to tell that pertains to these 9 minutes is that, and they tried to get out through these witnesses, is that this is simply an officer doing his job in a very, very difficult situation. And sure, the use of force is ugly, disturbing, upsetting, but sometimes necessary. So that's what they were trying to do during the course of these cross-examinations. And as I said before, I think, while they're trying to focus on us on facts and facts that, were existing before these videos started, before the witnesses came on the scene, so far it's been difficult for them to do that, in part because of the power, emotional power of the testimony that we heard both from the young witnesses and from the EMT officer.
Yeah, great observations. Rebecca, thank you so much.
Thanks.